Hey everyone, this is Shane Malika with Phyxius Power Building. Thanks for joining for another episode. So today we're moving on with the different types of workouts and suggestions and everything and basics essentially. So today we're going to be talking about bicep workouts. So I know for all the guys out there, this is what you like. You want to get those biceps, curls, get girls types of thing. That it's one of the what they call the mirror muscles. It's those things you can see in the mirror. Remember, before we get into biceps, never ever neglect the triceps, and make sure that you check out our other videos on the tricep exercises for dumbbells and resistance bands, because the triceps make up 2/3 of the size of the arm. So when you see those guys with the massive arms, remember, it's not just biceps, they got the triceps in there as well. All right, so let's start it off by looking at the basic anatomy of the biceps, because that's important to know. And let's get rid of some of those misconceptions that you may have out there. All right, so let me just share my screen here. So what you're looking at, again, just basic anatomy of the bicep. Now, the bicep itself, as the name implies, there's two main heads to it, a short head and a long head. All right, you can see from the picture here, just let me annotate a little bit. All right, you can see that the short head itself goes up and connects to the coracoid process. Ooh, boy. Versus the long head of the bicep, as you can see, it's more on the lateral side of the body. It continues up beyond the glenoid, or I'm sorry, beyond the humerus, and attaches up to the glenoid itself. So it actually crosses the joint. All right. So keep that in mind, because when it crosses the joint like that and attaches to the glenoid of the shoulder and everything, what happens then is the position of your shoulder is going to put that particular head of the bicep in a stretched or shortened position, which can then influence how hard it is working specifically. Other parts of the bicep or bicep forearm complex to keep in mind are the brachialis that you see here on the right side of the picture, all right, and that brachioradialis that you see as well on the left-hand side, more in the forearm. The reason why I point these out, I want you to take a look at the brachialis and brachioradialis. Look where they start and where they end. All right, they both cross the elbow joint. All right, so the brachioradialis starts at the distal end, all right, of the radius, and goes all the way up past the elbow and inserts into the humerus. The brachioradialis, its origin is in the humerus there and inserts into the ulna. But again, it crosses the joint. The reason why that's important is people get really hung up when it comes to the biceps and the forearms about all these specific exercises to isolate and everything, which can be important. But remember, anytime you flex your elbow, you bend your elbow up, you are going to engage the short head of the biceps, the brachialis, the brachioradialis to one degree or another. Now, what position you put your forearm or your shoulder in is going to put certain muscles in a lengthened position or shortened position, and will give certain muscles a little bit more emphasis, but you will always be activating all of those muscles. So when it comes to the end of the workout, again, unless you're doing some very specific training for forearms, or if you really want to get that brachialis to kind of pop, if you will, so that you can see it on the outside of the arm here, you know what? A standard bicep workout with elbow flexion, changing the shoulder position is going to hit all of them. You're going to get great results. So that's what we're going to get into today. Basics. I know they're basics, but they work. That's why they've been around forever. All right. So I know there's a lot of very interesting exercises out there, people doing kind of some odd things in order to emphasize certain heads of the bicep. But again, keeping it simple, keeping it basic. Remember, time under tension is going to be your friend. All right. And making sure that you're failing within your rep range, that's what's going to make the difference. All right. So I know it's not sexy, but that's what works. And that's why it's been around forever. So let's get to it here. All right. So today we're going to be going over 3 basic dumbbell exercises, all right, that you can utilize. Now, again, you don't have to utilize a lot of weight for a couple of reasons. One, the biceps, while you can make them look big, they are not the biggest muscles in the body. So you may be better off using lighter weight and higher reps in order to make sure that you get the gains that you're looking for. All right, so let's get into it here. Let me just back up a little bit. I'm going to pick up some dumbbells. We're going to start off just with standard dumbbell curls, standing dumbbell curls. All right, so I got my dumbbells here. And from there, let me kind of get a different angle here. All I need to do is I can turn my palms forward and then bend my elbows and bring the dumbbells up and down, keeping that same cadence that we've talked about. So 2 seconds to bring it up, pause, 2 seconds to bring it down. All right, now some people, what they will do in order to get a little bit more of that brachioradialis, one of the forearm muscles, they'll keep their palms facing their body and do the same motion. You're still going to get the long and short head of the bicep, but you'll start activating the brachioradialis just a little bit more. And there we go. So again, remember your rep ranges for this, all right? You also notice when I was doing this, where my elbows were. They were planted right at the side of my body. They did not go back, and they did not come forward. It's actually a shorter motion than people think. So just up and down, keep it controlled. Remember your rep ranges, remember your cadence for all of that. From there, we can move into incline dumbbell curls. Now, when you go with the incline, because you're laying back, your arms will be down, all right? Your upper arm is going to be perpendicular to the ground itself, and keeping it there. Remember what I said about shoulder position, right? When we're going back into that extended position, we're actually going to be placing a little bit the long head of the bicep in a stretch position, which means that it's going to be emphasized on this particular exercise. Now, the motion is basically the same as a standing dumbbell. Bend the elbow up and back down. That's all it is, all right? But remember, you can keep that the upper arm perpendicular to the floor. And keeping the same cadence. So here we go. So bringing it up. And again, back down. And up and down. Remember, nice and slow. Slow is strong, and strong can be fast if you're in athletics. All right. One mistake people will do as they start getting tired with this is they will start rocking in order to throw the weight up. Do not do that. You're going to hurt your shoulder. You're going to possibly strain your bicep along the way. So if it's getting to that point where you're going to have to use a lot of momentum, do a lot of cheating, you're better off just to put the weight down and try a little bit of a lighter weight, or just call it quits for that particular set. Remember, failure is fine. That's what we're doing every single set. We're trying to fail every single time. The third exercise that you can consider is something called spider curls. This is kind of a lost art in a lot of gyms, especially your more basic fitness centers and everything. You won't see this too often. I'm actually going to change the position of my bench just for camera purposes here. Now, the angle of your bench for the incline bicep curls and for the spider curls, about 45 degrees is good, all right? That's a good place to start. Now, spider curl, this is going to emphasize the short head of the bicep, all right? Because we're actually going to, once we lay down on this bench facing down, again, I'm going to want to keep my upper arm perpendicular to the floor. And when I do that, it's going to put the long head of the bicep in a shortened position, which means it's going to be relaxed a little bit more. And it's going to put a little bit more emphasis on the short head of the bicep, all right? And that's what kind of gives you your peak to the bicep too, which I know a lot of guys are looking for. So again, I'm just going to lay on the bench. My upper arm is going to be perpendicular to the floor. And from there, it's just a simple curl up and down. And again, that's all we're looking for. And remember your cadence. 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. And with the weight on that, trust me, if you're doing the higher repetitions, 12, 15, You're going to feel it. You're going to be aching. Push through that ache. Push through that struggle. Even though it may burn, getting some discomfort is not a bad thing. All right. So let me put down the weights here. All right. So those are 3 basic exercises you can consider for your biceps. All right. So again, standing bicep curls, palms forward or palms together. The incline dumbbell curls, spider curls, great exercises to get your overall size, strength of the bicep. Again, the ones I showed, there's a little bit of emphasis for each of the muscles. But again, as I mentioned at the beginning with anatomy, the fact that all those muscles basically cross the elbow joint, every time you bend that elbow, you are engaging all of them to one extent or another. So just by some small changes, that'll give you the emphasis you need to make sure you're hitting everything to its maximum extent. So thanks for joining this week's episode. I appreciate it. Make sure you check out previous episodes. Click on the like button, maybe even that subscribe one. And remember, struggle is strength, so get that struggle on. All right, guys? Talk to you later.